Take 2.
Take 3.
Take 3.
Take 7.
We are a family of 4. As you can tell, our little ones are in the back of the car right now, and we are headed out for a weekend trip at General Coffee State Park in Georgia to spend the weekend in our mini camper. We just wanted to tell you guys why we chose a mini camper, why we looked at those specifically, and why we decided on the Sunray 109. That we took and why we were even looking at campers to begin with. We were supposed to go to Cancun, Mexico for our 10-year wedding anniversary, and we had planned the trip late 2019 and we were supposed to go in May of 2020, but like many of you and many others, those plans were canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We were really kind of bummed out because we wanted to do something grand for 10 years. So then we bought a camper instead. Our first trip was cross country and we boondocked for I think more than half of the days. Our Sunray 109 saw us through it. Once our trip for Cancun was canceled and we decided and settled on, okay, well, we're gonna go across out west and we're gonna buy a camper. And we started thinking about, well, what can we buy? And we were limited by the towing capacity of our vehicles. There are 4 of us, 2 kids and Ben and I, but the micro camper worked for us because our cars do not have a very high towing capacity. So we're currently driving an off-road RAV4, which I think the towing capacity is about 3,000 pounds. Ben has a Jeep Wrangler, and the towing capacity for those is less than 3,000 pounds.
2,000.
2,000 pounds, which is not amazing. I don't know what the specifications are specifically to classify it as a micro camper, but our camper is small. Its dry weight is like less than 2,000 pounds. I will have it pop up on the screen so you can see it. But the weight of the Sunray 109 is very low, so we didn't max out our towing capacity on either of our vehicles, which is what we wanted more than anything. Ben had watched videos about micro campers prior to really bringing the idea to me. I had no idea that campers were even made this small, to be honest.
Yeah,
You're used to seeing the really big ones on the road, right? The huge RVs and the fifth wheels and all of that.
I was looking at like teardrops.
And teardrops are another great option, but it wasn't in our budget to have a teardrop. The Runaway, though, we went down to Ocala where they build the Runaways, and we saw it in person and they were really cool. However, I was skeptical about fitting 4 people in there if we had to squish, like if the weather was so terrible, if we had to squish all 4 of us inside the camper. I just don't know that it would have been possible.
Yeah, we could have all 4 got in there, but it would have been, that was all would have been in there.
Yeah.
Just a bed.
It's also the height of it. Like, you can't stand up in our Sunray 109, but you can manage. If you needed to change, you could kind of duck, and it's possible. With the Runaway, you are not going to stand up in that, period. But the biggest factor of why we didn't get the Runaway is because it was in the middle of COVID-19 and they were backed up on producing their campers, and we couldn't get one in time that we had planned, and we'd already taken off of work for our big cross-country trip. So we had to mark that one off of our list for a couple different reasons. And then we went to a few RV dealerships in our area, and they laughed at us when we told them we were looking for something so small for a family of 4. And one guy even said, like, this isn't what y'all are looking for. You guys need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Which, how dare you? I would say we were in a fairly big city. They didn't have a lot that was within our, the weight that we wanted to be.
Found that one, it was Eco Pro or
The
GoPro
E-Pro.
whatever.
E-Pro, I'm not sure what brand it was. I've seen it before, but it was an E-Pro, and it was on the lot. They only had one. It was older, and you can tell, like, it had been sitting on the lot, and it had some of the same features that we have in the Sunray 109.
It had, I think it was like a very large air conditioner and electric heater, if I remember right. So you would have had to been hooked to power to heat or cool.
Right. The E-Pro was set up kind of the same as ours, whereas you have a door that leads to the bed, and then the back hatch has a kitchen, and I think it had all the same features, like a microwave, a fridge, a stove, and a sink.
It didn't have a hot water heater, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But our biggest deterrent on the E-Pro was that there was no way to like change the bed setup. It was just a bed on the floor. And my thought is, I need somewhere for dirty shoes to go. Like when I climb in, I want to be able to like step into the camper and have a place to where some dirt can land before I actually crawl into my bed. Is that weird? Does that make sense?
I don't want your dirty feet in the bed.
I don't either. But the E-Pro was just a mattress on the floor of the camper, and it had some storage cabinets inside, and it had a place for a TV hookup, which ours does too. But there was only one configuration between the bed setup and the water heater. We decided that one probably wasn't going to work for us.
Yeah.
We still considered it. If we couldn't find anything else, we were willing to settle on it. We looked at some pop-ups too. Ben did not like the idea of a pop-up.
It had more room. I just didn't like the idea of the cloth sides because, you know, eventually they're gonna rot out and you'd have a mess.
We were worried about the inconsistencies with the pop-up in terms of hard-sided shell and things like that. So pop-up wasn't on our list of possibilities, though it would have fit the capacity limit that we were looking for. So if you're looking for a small camper, a pop-up might be a great option for you. We happened upon Travel Camp, which they had a small camper that fit into our capacity limit. They called it a Traveler Mini, and it took me quite a bit of Googling to figure out that they had rebranded it, and it was originally a Sunray 109 by Sunset Travelers. So then I searched Sunray 109. There are a few other videos out there that talked about it. We went to the lot and looked at it, and it was perfect. It had the water heater. It had the jackknife sofa, so we can put it up into a couch, and we can all four fit in there. Like Ben and I can sit on the couch, and there's enough room on the floor for the boys to sit cross-legged, and we can play cards or something like that. And then it still had the kitchen on the back, so the microwave and refrigerator, the stove and sink. There were options for a roof rack, which then we could add an awning to, and we did. The Traveler Mini, which used to be a Sunray 109, which now we call the Wayfinder, was kind of the perfect fit for us. And we bought it, and a week later, I think, something like that. We took it a few days after we picked it up, just so we could play around with it, figure how things work, things like what we would need, and maybe it was a week after that. I think we went the weekend we picked it up, and then the following weekend we left.
Yes. I think you're right. Yeah.
Y'all, we put a rush on it for real. If we get back to our original thing of telling you why we bought a micro camper, towing capacity was the biggest limit for us. So we needed something under 3,000 pounds.
2,000.
Under 2,000 pounds for Ben's wimpy Jeep. And we needed something that would fit our family four. And then want items, not necessarily need, but things that we wanted were more configurations for the bed. So the option to have a sofa or to move the bed out of the way so that we could get in. And a water heater, AC, that's a must. We live in the South. We needed AC. And then the furnace, because we were going out west and it was going to be cold. And it gets cold here too in the South, so the furnace is nice to have.
58 degrees. It's cold to us.
Yes. We're not great in cold weather, so we'll take the furnace for sure. Anyways, all of that to say that the Sunray 109 worked perfectly for us for our trip where it was just Ben and I, or the two of us, boondocking. But we've also taken it on a few trips where it's been the 4 of us, and it's still a great fit. We did add the roof racks and an ARB awning, and then we did get the deluxe screen room for the ARB awning.
Yes.
Which we will have another video to show you how we set that up, and maybe we'll do a review on it. We're actually officially using it for the first time. So let me know how that works.
Wait, that's all, folks.